live.
Yay.
All right. Yeah, just hanging in there. We're spiking again, so I can't wait to see how that turns out in Japan.
Not volleyball.
Yeah, right. The whole world seems to be doing that. So how are you? Have you been?
All right. Yeah. Hot, humid, sweaty.
Any game stuff? Anything you've been posting on Instagram or anything?
Well, yeah, I'm finally starting to assemble or do head swaps for the Turnip 28 regiment. The beaky heads. I had so many Perry miniature heads that I've like snipped the heads off and like drilled a little hole to use all the hats.
Oh, right.
So that's what they're doing now. On that
that's cool.
And I'm also working on that one token-based kind of war game that we've played that I keep waffling back and forth and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
nice. I unboxed Vor the Maelstrom last night on the live stream, and it's amazing in their source books for each of the armies. In the back, they have like hobby tips and stuff, and they're showing like customizing and kit bashing with white metal miniatures, like cut off the head and replace the arm. I'm like, that's some bravery. We lost that. I don't think anybody is as brave as people were in the 90s.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had to, right?
Yeah, there was no choice. That was the material. Yeah.
I don't know if I talked about this before, but I must have. Someone on the Turnip Discord, if I paid shipping, they sent me a sprue of GW chain rasps, which are pretty cool because I wanted to use them for Necropolis 28, some like ghosty models.
Oh, right.
They're like the easy push fit ones, and I'm like looking at going, okay, these are amazing because they kind of look like hollow cloaks kind of stuff.
Right.
You cannot kit bash these things.
Yeah.
The way they fit together and the way GW has engineered these things, I'm like, we've almost kind of gone back to that where you have to be like extra brave.
Good point. Yeah.
To like snip off an arm because like that's a load bearing arm, right? The way these things fit together.
And that's really true. Yeah. Because they've got like a little tendril, a little scroll or something that's holding it in the air, and and they've I think they've done a good job because they're using CAD tools. They've done a good job of cutting the models up, and so all of the seams are hidden.
They're kind of hidden. Yeah,
behind like plate mail or folds and cloaks and stuff. But that means that the construction and the actual pieces are nonsense. Yeah, you're looking at these like weird things that you slide in through, and then you push up pin into a hole. Yeah, it's
like
odd.
They look amazing. They're kind of a pain to put together, and I think they're engineered that way specifically so you can't cut them apart and use them for bits.
Because I think the rules they're moving away from like looted trucks and tanks and stuff or orcs and stuff because they just aren't encouraging that, and that's the fun of the hobby. If you go on any forums, like kit bashing is like a big thing that orc players love.
Come on over to an indie game.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I think it's GW going like, no, whenever you field an army, we want it to look exactly the way it does on the box art. Right.
Yeah, so. and like we read those for the competitive play, the rules about what % can be 3D printed has to be your original. You can make stuff and you can print it out, but you can't buy stuff. You can't swap heads. Like, oh, jeez.
How are they going to enforce that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They're just not, and then they're just going to go away. Hopefully, too big to fail at this point.
They kind of are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal. All right, so let's do this.
Sure.
Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly,
so we're starting with a downer.
Roll20 and OneBookShelf merge.
Ooh.
Or joint venture or whatever. Yep. The news is a mess about this.
Oh.
So we'll talk about that. The Big Squirm for Troika. 2D20 Summer. So this is the summer of 2D20. And more
kind of like 2 years too late.
A little bit too late. We mean White Boy Summer. We missed we missed that. And Mjörkborg for free.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, art free for free. Sorry. I should have specified. All right. So let's start with the upsetting thing. And there was a question about whether you'd be able to be here or not. So I was talking to Matt, one of the patrons, about filling in, and he dodged a bullet because I don't think he wanted to hear me go on about this. So the tabletop media has fallen over itself with hallelujah, this is amazing, and lapping the asses of these companies.
Tell us how you really feel. Sorry.
about this business deal that's happening. And at first it was a merger and then buyout, and everyone had to correct their articles because they kept getting so excited about this, and they thought, oh, something great is happening. And it's not. We've already kind of mentioned this before. with the Dungeon Masters Guild.
Right.
So OneBookShelf with their Dungeon Masters Guild is making things, the digital assets, the fan-made digital assets, digitally available in Roll20.
Right.
That was the thing. And then they must have said, wait a minute, because they've got a new CEO who's pushing this whole digital agenda.
You're talking WotC.
I'm sorry, Roll20.
Okay.
Sorry, OneBookShelf has a new CEO that's been pushing improvements, and also, I guess, also Roll20. No, I'm sorry. Roll20 has been pushing improvements very heavily, and this integration is part of it. So maybe it was on Roll20's part that they stepped up. We've got some quotes, so we'll figure this out. It's Roll20 that stepped up and said, why just Dungeon Masters Guild? Why not everything? And so they're moving forward. So the leading digital tabletop role-playing content platforms, Roll20 and OneBookShelf, who owns DriveThruRPG.
Wargaming Vault.
Yeah.
DriveThru Comics and DriveThru Fiction, I'm guessing?
There's a ton. Yeah, they have a bunch of sites which are not very well supported. Basically, DriveThru RPG is getting probably their big platform. And I think they've kind of folded stuff in there because they started out with RPG.net or something. That was serving, because DriveThru made the deals with Chaosium and some of the real publishers, and for indie and individual publishers, they had RPG.net or something that they were using, and they've kind of just
put it all together.
Yeah, they've neglected that and just kind of folded it into DriveThru with the exclusivity and all the stuff that they were asking for in some cases. But Roll20, because of the pandemic, is now boasting over 10 million users daily. Okay, maybe accounts that exist. And OneBookShelf manages what they're saying is 11 e-commerce sites, including DriveThru and all of those things. And so what's happening is basically just a joint venture. They're expanding that idea of making digital things available in Roll20. And it sounds really unimpressive so far. So what they're basically doing is they will add PDF support to Roll20. And I was like, oh, that's very novel, because I think a lot of other virtual tabletops, you drag and drop a PDF into it, and it's available to the players. And so this is not groundbreaking. This is not new. This is not amazing. But they're kind of preparing everything to make it as accessible as possible. So if you're offering something on DriveThruRPG, and basically it's probably the e-commerce that they're actually connecting, because you do something on DriveThruRPG, offer it, it's also available in the Roll20 store. Okay. So all the digital assets, and people are also doing a thing that I didn't know about, as a hybrid PDF that includes like tokens and maps and assets that you can use on a VTT, but it's kind of also the PDF rules are in there. Okay. So so that they're going to start phasing out because they want things to be distinct. But I guess for a while there was a thing as a hybrid, and the big thing that they're stipulating, because Roll20, you're paying a subscription and you have limited storage for your assets. Roll20 is saying, well, everything you buy from DriveThru and bring over is not going to count towards your storage total. So they're going to have to do that, because very easily people can move libraries and then, which is probably not bad for them, force people to step up their subscription. So here's a quote from Ankit Lal, the CEO, the recent CEO of new CEO of Roll20. Joining forces with OneBookShelf creates the best place to purchase, peruse, and play TTRPGs online, period. Since 2012, Roll20 has been the industry leader in virtual tabletop gaming, hosting content with some of the biggest publishers in the space, including Wizards of the Coast, hint, hint, Paizo, Chaosium, etc. With this deal, we gained significant progress on several of our user promises that dramatically improve the VTT, and will work together to be adding new and exciting features to an already industry-leading platform. Ha ha ha. Okay, so great. And this guy is recent. I think last year became CEO. So his whole thing is that we got to improve this because we got a huge bump in users, and the platform still sucks. The platform has existed for 10 years. I'll touch on that at the end, but there's. It's crazy that the way that they're talking about this. And then Steve Week of OneBookShelf, the CEO of OneBookShelf, says, our mission from the get-go has always been to make it easier for publishers and creators to reach a wider audience of role-playing fans. By combining forces with Roll20, we empower game makers to present content across a wider variety of formats with either character creators, virtual tabletops, digital editions, or print. Customers will be able to support their favorite games in any format they desire with one economical purchase. They will also be able to use their content on role-playing's most trusted platform. I love how they're calling some of this stuff. So anyhow, so this is going to be, there's a little bit of a shift of kind of leadership and stuff to make this work. So following the closure of the deal, Lal will continue as CEO because he just started, started January of this year. And he's already been doing, digital marketing in several different industries, probably none of them tabletop.
Oh, well.
So we know it's going to be probably software is where he came from. And OneShelf CEO Steve Week will be joining the Roll20 governing board and executive team. So he's going to kind of step over and have some say, which will hopefully make things work a little bit better, but we'll see. But Week, if I'm saying that right, was a co-founder of White Wolf Publishing. So he's been in tabletop forever since, and they found, and Drive-Thru was founded in 2004.
Oh, wow, cool.
So
well, I'll jump in here and say, on the one hand, you got to know your product, but on the other hand, sometimes the best people to fix something are people who are not that closely involved.
Right? Oh yeah,
because they won't have the hang-ups being like, oh, well, we got to keep this. Why? Right. Okay, yeah, it can be too much of a shakeup, but it can also be if you don't, there's pros and cons here, right?
Right.
So that's not me saying this is a great deal, because honestly, seeing as how I don't really use either all that much now, meh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but the plot thickens. Okay, so Lal is bragging about, so his leadership helped bring about a new vision for the platform.
Okay.
All right. So they have added features, highly demanded features, such as dark mode, one-way barriers with dynamic lighting, and updated compendium sharing.
What's updated compendium sharing?
I don't know. So just you can look at a PDF as a group. But these are...
Come on, man. Dark mode's impressive.
Dark mode. So they've had 10 years of development on this platform, and just now these things are occurring to them. I mean, these are very basic kind of standard things that should have been coming out incrementally months after they launched, because they had a huge Kickstarter for this in
did they?
2012. Yeah. So they got well funded right away, and they've got now, I think they're claiming 40 some people now are going to be involved just in this integration of OneBookShelf and Roll20. So that's a lot of paychecks. That's a lot of developer paychecks. We don't know
what they're making.
Yeah, right. To bring this about, and it's very strange. So apart from those amazing features, they're going to reduce in-game load times by 57%. Why didn't they do that before? They're going to boost launch speeds up to 50% on most games. Probably just the ones that they're have the best deals with. Faster dice rolls, more dynamic lighting options, improved character creation, and character sheets. What were they doing for the past 10 years besides, collecting subscriptions and waiting for the world to collapse under a pandemic so everyone had to use their platform to play a game?
Sorry, I'm laughing here because you tweak this language a little bit. I'm going to political. You could be talking about the Democrats.
Right?
You've had look at all these firsts we have, right? Buddy, you have had 20 years to implement. Okay, I'm talking now about the Roll20, all right? Politics are done, right? You've had 10 you've had 10 years to implement this stuff. I would be okay, like I said before, I don't really use virtual tabletop, so I don't really have skin in this game, don't particularly care. I wonder what happened behind the scenes to make these things happen. Were they... The first thing that pops into my mind, is that these improvements were part of the agreement for the merger or whatever, right?
Or maybe just a roadmap that they already had, so they're trying to make it sound as juicy as possible.
Probably. Or it's just not just marketing speak, because I would hope they would follow through on these things, but it's kind of okay, we got to do something to make people excited.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, talk about how things are developing. So finally, they're going to move the platform forward. So I read through every article on this, and just people are just falling all over themselves, saying this is amazing. This is the convenience that we're going to have as players and game masters is amazing. It's amazing. And there was only one source and I think it was Dice Breakers,
Okay.
that said consolidation is bad for the consumer, and they reinforce that idea. Let's keep this in mind, everyone. The fewer sources that there are, and the bigger they can build a wall between you and customers because everyone is inside there. It's going to be bad. It's going to limit choice, and all of these innovations or all of these fixes, these quality of life things that should have existed 10 years ago, all of the things that they're doing now are they're going to. There's no reason for them to continue. As soon as all of this deal is finished and it goes, they're just going to stop. They have no reason to spend money innovating or doing anything that
until the next deer comes along 10 years from now. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we talked about in June the Dungeon Masters Guild, and so they're saying that they are going to operate independently a little while longer while they're finishing this up, and then later this year their joint venture will continue. So they did a little video demonstrating how amazing this is, and they showed a user dragging in a little video a PDF into an active RPG session on Roll20, and boom, everybody could see it. Okay. And suspiciously, this is something that Astral could already do. So
or a Google Drive.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you're right. So you want to know. Well, so the other nice thing that Dice Breakers mentioned. So talking about like I was saying, the price of this convenience. So lack of competitors means the company at the top has little incentive to fix fundamental issues or be held accountable for grievances within its own workplace. So workers are fucked, customers are fucked, designers and developers are fucked. So this is not good news for anybody except the people that love dragging and dropping PDFs.
And dark mode.
Oh, well, dark mode. I mean, that's...
I don't know. I'm sold right there.
Yeah, so as soon as... So, yeah, okay, this is a little bit frustrating. They keep all of the speak about empowering players and,
But that's the new... that's the new marketing buzzword, right?
Yes.
It's we're not consolidating power. We're consolidating power for you, right? Now you get access to all these things.
It's a big hug, right? Yes. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is a mess how this is being reported. This sounds like it's not going to be good for anybody. But then I found the PDF I'm sorry, it's not a PDF, the entry for an FAQ that OneBookShelf has posted in their little Zendesk thing. And I was going down through some of the things, and the first thing that hit me like a gut punch was, what about Astral? Will it be shut down? Was one of the frequently asked questions. Yes, we'll be closing Astral VTT platform in August. So it was just going to be this thing they were going to let coast along, a nice little convenient... They say, fuck it. Yeah, we don't want anything to compete with what we're going to be doing later this year.
Done, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not even going to let it go until this deal. I mean, probably just talking to Roll20 meant, okay, we can't have any virtual tabletop that we're supporting at all. We'll be making an announcement regarding this within the next week, and we'll offer some new options to users there. So I spent an afternoon putting in the early version of the first case file for the Blade Runner RPG into fucking Astral and have a beautiful, with looped video, like moving backwards. I have all these perfect tokens. I have this amazing setup, and I've got literally like 2 weeks left to fucking play this game. I mean, I've got the assets, so it's not going to be hard to put them in. But the fact that I wasted any time.
It's not a waste of time. You learned something.
Yeah, I learned how to use a defunct VTT. So immediately I saw that, I was immediately pissed off at that there's no reason for them to do that if they're just going to let this thing coast just let Astro coast anyhow. And probably what they're going to do is cannibalize some of the best features and hand that code over to Roll20. And that's why you're dragging and dropping so easily, because you could already do that in Astro.
Right.
And
there's your answer.
Yes.
There's your answer. Now that I know that, it's like, okay, I bet you most, if not all of these features were things you could already do in Astro. And now that they're one company, OneBookShelf can go, here.
Yeah, there we go.
There's the code.
We're contributing
now you can do
something. Yeah, right. And the other fun question was, is Drive-Thru RPG still working with other VTTs like Fantasy Grounds and Foundry? Well, we aren't planning any changes with how Fantasy Grounds or Foundry content is sold on OneBookShelf marketplaces. We still maintain friendly relationships with other VTT platforms, but some of those details and plans are still under consideration.
I love how you read that. Like if you just read it with like a flat voice, you're like, yeah, okay, that sounds reasonable. The way you read it was like, oh my god, this is some ominous shit.
Yes, so I'm Team Foundry from now on. I mean, basically, I'm done with dealing with this. I don't care, what they end up rolling over. It's just a shame. I liked a lot of the features in Astral. It's a shame that they're going to go over. And I had a similar situation. there was a Odd Post. There was a developer that did the first dynamic kind of HTML client back in the early 2000s. It was this beautiful platform, and Yahoo Mail bought it, and they closed down the original site, and then they very slowly kind of threw some of the features into the Yahoo client, but the Yahoo client was such garbage.
That's what always happens. Right?
And so that was lost forever. So they should just leave Astral at the state that it's in and be a thing, and they should have just let Odd Post be its thing, because it was a perfect web-based mail client. It was amazing. But so that's what's going to happen. Astral's getting swallowed up and shit out in whatever form Roll20 sees fit.
Well, it's not exactly like shutting anything down, but I mean, like, you could kind of liken, or there's like an analogy here, or similarities between, like, kind of the code and, I'm explaining this very poorly, TTRPGs, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, because you think about, like, a big corporation, right? They're kind of slow and it takes them a while to do stuff and development, and then all these, like, smaller, faster, agile, independent things can come up with really cool stuff, and then the big companies go, we're going to buy you, and now we get this, and now we get this, and now we get this, and it comes out slowly, and it's often worse because it has to go through so many internal things. You can kind of look at D&D the same way. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, 5th edition came out, right? And it's kind of like, they didn't shut down any indie games, because you can still go play them, but it's like, we're going to borrow these ideas, and we're going to do that. And they're shittier and worse than the ones on top of us, right? But anyway, I'm thinking mainly about inspiration. Because
Well, and the whole thing that disgusts me the most about this is this just may be some positioning, like kind of oiling up the body and finding a nice pose to, hey, wizards, come on over and, do what you want with us, because we're available if you need it.
I'm trying to think where that puts them with D&D Beyond. Right? Because didn't Wizards or Hasbro, like, they just acquired D&D Beyond, which split off from Fandom, and D&D Beyond isn't a tabletop. Right. It's kind of like a
character builder resource.
Yeah, kind of like a resource management.
Kind of digital toolkit.
Yeah, there you go. So I wonder how that would integrate with, because it's already kind of like you could, I've never even used it, but I'm pretty sure you can buy stuff on D&D Beyond to use in your games. In fact, you kind of have to, right? Right. So, well, I mean, they've already got the stuff for DM's Guild, right? So if they are kind of like getting themselves already be like, hey, wizards, right? Yeah. I just wonder what would happen. That would mean you'd probably still have the OneBookShelf thing. Like, DM's Guild might be like for the fan-made stuff, but that might integrate it with D&D Beyond would be the official stuff, and then hey, it all kind of ports into our Roll20 kind of thing. You can all
if they buy Roll20, it's all going to port to our VTT. And the thing, so much of the talk and everything, the thing that was such a big turnoff is these are two, even though they're the biggest, very incompetently run and built platforms. I mean, the back end, you have direct experience, first-hand experience.
Oh my God, trying to upload something to fucking drive through, it's a goddamn nightmare.
Ridiculous. And Roll20 is not the best, like, performance, feature platform. It just has the most people because they were doing, like, YouTube ads.
Well, that automatically makes it the best.
Oh, that's right. The most popular equals best.
Yep.
So this is not the best podcast, is what you're saying.
No, it's not. It is by no means the most popular, right? If we were the most popular, then we would be the best, right?
So it's ridiculous. And so this is just going to be a bunch of milling around and screwing up people's, how they've been gaming and, what they've purchased. So it's going to be like weird, they're going to run into things where people's libraries and some store credits and things are not going to be working because they're incompetent. They're technologically, both of these companies, their technology is bad. And putting them together is making a monster. It's not going to make anything great. So it is just kind of biding time until Wizards. I mean, we've got did you see our 10 million daily users? Don't you want that? Yeah. So that's where they're headed. And it's just kind of disgusting. And because these are small potatoes kind of doing this thing in a small, niche hobby, it's extra
some micro potatoes.
It's micro potatoes. It's just extra nauseating to see these obvious kind of things happening. So we'll see. We'll just stay away from everything we can. So this
apologies if you use Roll20 or Drive-Thru RPG, but not really.
And click that affiliate link. I think that's still at the bottom of the page.
It is, isn't it?
But anyhow,
Drive-Thru RPG sucks. Apart from all the review copies and stuff.
Yeah, right. But there should be a kind of call to arms for an independent platform. I mean, itch.io's got to step up its game or do something, and they should really work to kind of separate themselves from video games and things, so they have a very recognizable, this is tabletop RPG. Yeah.
Okay, completely armchair speculation here. Apart from buying pixel art assets, I do basically nothing video game related on itch.
Right.
I have no idea what the numbers are. I have to think that given how small the tabletop hobby is, especially the indie stuff that would end up on itch, I have to imagine that video games are largely what is driving itch.io sales, despite the fact I never interact with them,
that's how their platform is supported and everything, I'm sure.
So I think splitting off would be like,
but just
at this point,
just make it more approachable for kind of normies and people that would that are coming from 5e, because you're not going to discover. Discovery is really bad on itch.
Okay, that I'll agree with you there. Most of looking at like my dashboard and looking at people's like links and stuff, basically the only way you kind of find games on or TTRPG games on itch.io is a direct link, usually on Twitter or for somewhere else, that goes directly to the game, or you've gone and looked at one game and you like click on the author's, creator's site page, or you go to like, people also bought this. It's like, because you can kind of see referral links. Like that's basically the only way you find stuff on itch. So yes, I'll agree. Their searchability. Yeah, it's a bit
better,
please.
Brutal. Yeah, and it's just difficult because I don't think. I mean, if Free League or Modifius or something, they could kickstart their Roll20. Like they could kickstart a virtual tabletop that would then be well integrated with everything they're doing. You could play test their games and stuff in it. I mean, it's something to think about, because we can't let just one platform dominate so completely. I mean, there's so little competition now. Once you're going to have everything that you're buying, all your stores integrated, so it's and you'll be paying one subscription for it's brutal. Yeah. It's going to be brutal.
Gone are the days, just in generally speaking, like gone are the days of conscientious purchases, because everything's owned by the same goddamn company. Right?
Yeah. So
awesome. I just saw the time. I might have to.
Oh, okay. We just got a couple. Yeah, to go a couple quick things. So let's move on. Let's cleanse the palate and relieve get
a little bit of sorbet.
Yes, get rid of the sour taste in the mouth. So Troika's new TTRPG adventure book is on Kickstarter. The Big Squirm. And The Big Squirm is a hard-boiled mystery about speculative worm trading. So to keep with the whole weirdness of the setting, you'll be sending players to investigate a corrupt investment scheme using unhatched killer worms. So this is written by Luke Gearing, who wrote Acid Death Fantasy for Troika, and also some work from Mothership. And so the ultra-wealthy Downgate Arches invested gob tons of money on the scarf worm eggs, betting their entire fortunes on unhatched progeny of dangerous creatures that will live near the mysterious gaseous sea below their hanging palaces. When they hatch, the elite, hungry for a payday, discovered instead of massive crops of worthless pretender, they got worthless crops of worthless pretender worms. Right. Now, the speculative bubble has burst. The economy of the neighborhood is in a free fall, and everyone is looking for the one responsible. So you're going to be investigating.
Kind of sounds a bit like cryptocurrency bullshit.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
has worm eggs.
Yes. So 100-page hardcover with 40 new original artworks by illustrator Andrew Walter. And this is Melsonian Arts Council's release, and an official Troika release.
That's pretty cool.
So I'll put a link to that. That is running through August
Kickstarter.
10th. Yeah, on Kickstarter. So it's a Kickstarter running through August 10th.
So probably has a physical, at least either a soft cover or a hardback.
Yeah, it's a 100-page hardback is what they said, and probably very nice quality. All the stuff they produce is very beautiful. And of course, we mentioned it's not White Boy Summer anymore. It's 2D20 Summer, so the summer of gaming. And this is to kind of celebrate the release of the system reference document, the SRD for 2D20. So on July 20th.
My birthday. Hey.
You were born on 2D20 Day.
Yeah,
because
the die I hate the most. Twice.
So, Modifius is officially named. They celebrate every year on your birthday the 2D20 system. So they're doing so on your birthday, on Chris's birthday, you can get 20% off on all 2D20 core products on the Modifius store, which is Dune, Star Trek Adventures, Dune Adventures in the Imperium, Star Trek Adventures, Fallout, the role-playing game, Dishonored, Infinity, Conan, John Carter of Mars, Mutant Chronicles, which they no longer support. It's still up there? Okay. Well, and Achtung Cthulhu. So 2D20 was originally designed by Jay Little of Star Wars Edge of the Empire and X-Wing fame. And then based on an idea by Chris Birch and Michael Cross and Nathan Dowdle and Ben Beaton contributed, and now Nathan Dowdle heads the development. So downloadable PDFs and all that good stuff, 48 hours starting on July 20th.
No, I got the email newsletter, and the other thing that's, like you mentioned, it's also the SRD. They're coming out with like an SRD. So an SRD means like a system reference document. So they basically, I haven't looked at it yet, they've stripped out probably all the fluff or setting or whatever, and just said, if you want to make a 2D20 game, here are the pieces, the rule kind of mechanic pieces, to make your own 2D20 game.
Right.
That seemed kind of interesting. And they also, Modifius also teased like, hey, and you can also sign up to playtest our 2 new
things.
Right, so they got 2 new things in the work. One might be that Homeland thing?
The Homeworld.
Homeworld. Sorry, again, I'm not a video gamer. I downloaded that, but haven't looked at it. And so maybe that and something else. The picture that was in there made me think some kind of like...
Oh, they had their Cthulhu, the cohorts of Cthulhu.
Oh, maybe that.
Yeah, the Roman Empire. Cthulhu war game. Yeah, and also, sorry, one more thing that's happening along with that is they're working with Startplaying.Games to do it, which is a player group finder kind of thing for playing virtual tabletops.
And use Roll20.
Yes, and so anybody using a 2D20 running a game on that platform is entered to win either $1,000 or 3 prizes of $100 store credit. But it's still, it's still.
I don't know, man. Like all those like since moving to Japan, it's like, yeah, okay, this contest sounds great. Shipping.
Yeah, right.
Shipping.
Yes, that's not
like,
gonna
won't ship outside the U.S. Okay, I understand why, but still, it's like.
And the final thing is, it's been proven now that the Stockholm Cartel wasn't just a messed up refugee from an art school that escaped into tabletop, and their acclaimed Mjorkborg is not just a aesthetic
flash in the pan.
Yeah, flash in the pan. It is actually a enjoyable, playable OSR system.
Is it?
And they are proving that by releasing the bare bones edition. So an art-free bare bones edition. So the typography, graphic design, and art has been stripped down or minimized, and which makes it, for people that are using screen readers and things, makes it very easy to access.
Or just visually impaired. Because like, yo, man, that book is beautiful. It's kind of a bitch to read sometimes.
Right. And so for free, and this is on Johan Nor's itch.io.
Oh, nice.
So I'll put the link to that. So the bare bones edition also includes the starting adventure Rot Black Sludge.
That sounds happy.
Yeah, included. And so if you don't know, which I don't know why you'd be listening to this podcast, but if you don't know Mjorkborg, it is a doom metal album of a game, a spiked flail to the face, rules light, heavy everything else. Yep. And this will give you, so it's a name your price, so you could actually contribute a bit for it, or download it for free, and then it's super printer friendly now too.
Oh, nice.
Because you're not dealing with any heavy blacks or anything.
How many pages it is.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but it's exact same page count as the original. I guess minus if there's only art pages, maybe those have come out, so it may be a little bit shorter due to some of the. But hopefully, Johan was able to do this himself, because I don't imagine it would have been fun to watch somebody disassemble your masterwork.
Yeah, just do it over there. I don't have to look.
I don't want to see it. Yes. So you can still get the yellow book, the real deal yellow book, which you're supposed to burn after playing. So I guess you're going to have to keep buying that. So it's good that they made this version, just in case you did actually burn your original copy.
Or, you know what, burn this copy instead. Yeah.
Print it
actually,
out.
Let's not burn anything. As hot as fucking as it is, right? Things are going to get... It's the coolest summer of the rest of our lives. Let's keep burning stuff. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so I'll put a link to that in the page, and a link to everything we talked about, except Roll20 and OneBookShelf. Actually, Drive-Thru RPG will probably have a link.
Did you mention we have an affiliate link?
Okay, anyhow, that's all for this week.
Cool.
Where can people find you?
That's right, on Twitter, as always. That's HiveMind, HYVEMYND, where it's nothing but Perry miniatures, Kit Bash, and the Turnip 28 stuff, or pixel art war games.
Oh, nice.
And a couple retweets about the state of the fucking states.
Oof.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not.
So how about you?
And you can find me at Abuse Cartoons every Monday night. I draw some cartoons and Abuse Cartoons on all social media. And this is Upturned Tables. So if you want to support what we're doing on the weekly, visit upturntable.com and become a weekling at patreon.com/upturntable. So we'll be back next week to do this again.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye.
Woohoo.
All right. Sorry, I knew that part.
No, it was
going to be rambly.
It was good because, like, I saw, I forget, like, I did see some.
right. Well, we're back to talk to chat. How is everybody doing? Hey, Matt, how's it going? All right. But yeah, so sorry, a bit of a a bit of a going on a little too long rant. I think I ate most of our time up. Chris had to get going. Ate most of our time up, but I did come up with a counter. So I'll switch over to the chat and we'll do the 30 seconds of silence, and I can actually count that down so you have some idea of what actually is going on visually while I'm doing that. I'm not just sitting here like a crazy person. All right. So here, let me, so give me 30 seconds and I'll be right back with you on the chat. So good to see you, Matt. All right, so that's my new, my little animated GIF of 30 seconds. And I guess that moment of silence, I have some, sad news. I didn't want to include it in the cast. It's not really tabletop related, but I talked about last week, R.C. Harvey was hospitalized. And I think very close to the recording of the episode last week, R.C. Harvey passed away. So this is one of his books, an autobiographical book about his kind of quest to become a girly cartoonist for Playboy, which never came to fruition, but he did work for a lot of the gents magazines in the 60s and 70s, submitting cartoons, and he has a great style. His line, the ink line is just beautiful on his work. So he's going to be missed. And rcharvey.com, the website that I worked with him on, is open for free now. So the 23 years of content that we posted, all of the articles and everything, are just available for free. There's also a video on there, an interview that one of his friends, a documentarian, did with him, kind of talking about the history of comics. So an actual video to watch, and you can hear his recounting of kind of events of cartooning history and his personality. So he will be missed. That's a very sad thing, and it hadn't happened as of the last recording, but that's it. So what's going on with you, Matt? Hey, I'm I'm glad you avoided me complaining. Well, we can complain. We can make a complaining podcast together if you want to enjoy me sarcastically reading press releases. Man. Yeah, Matt says, saying you're adding PDF support is like saying you are behind the times. Yeah, that's right. We will also be offering Flash. Flash Player will now be enabled on all of our virtual tabletops sessions. Yeah, is a launch speed is a big issue with virtual tabletops. Never noticed. I think with Roll20, I think some of the when you're buying content and having stuff, all the maps and things put in there, I think those assets actually loading, because we would get, we were minimally using it for the OSR, but we were doing a little bit of that. And when we would switch maps, it would take forever for the map to come up, and then not everything that the GM or the DM was using to cover the locations was there, and it wasn't quite readable. And so, yeah, it does, switching between scenes, I think, is the loading time that they're complaining about. Yeah, definitely. I believe you're right. Matt said, I imagine Roll20 demanded the death of Astral, and like Chris suggested, they were probably offering the code from Astral 2 as part of this deal to move Roll20 ahead, because they're doing minimal to develop that platform, and they should have weekly update bug fixes, the kind of stuff that PC gamers are used to, because it is a platform. It's a digital online platform, and they need to be improving it. And even if they're not fixing bugs for, games or character sheets or things they're using, you would love to see active development. And I'm not like completely involved in Roll20, so that there may be a bug report and an update, a list of updated features. But every time I've dipped into Roll20, it's been the same clunky thing every time. Yeah, but I think you're right. Matt said Wizards can have Roll20, but if they bought drive-through off, that would be bad news. It really would, because it would suppress so many of the smaller developers. I mean, their only option would be to create storefronts themselves for digital sales, or to use itch.io, which, as we were saying, itch.io's discovery is terrible. The discovery for itch.io tabletop is Twitter. Basically it's like RPG Twitter is the only way to find things on itch. So it's funny. And Matt is right. The bare bones edition of Morkbjörg is a little confusing, because that's kind of the whole point of the attraction of the game, is a heavily designed kind of boutique, rules light, doom metal RPG. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that's brutal. Oh, thanks. Yeah, and I did post. Yeah, so I was. We were sending out, every time we did an update on the website, we would send out the newsletter, which was the Rabbit Habit. So I had the job of writing the very last Rabbit Habit, and also there was a column, kind of an obituary column that R.C. Harvey called "Passing Through," a line from a song, and he so I wrote kind of his entry for the for just a little bit of history, because everyone knows kind of his biography is well known, and also he has a great Wikipedia page. So I didn't go into his history, but just the history of me knowing him and us working together. I don't think has ever been told. So that was rough. That was a rough thing to write, but yeah, that's what happens. We're all eventually going to get there. And as he got older, and as we had worked together many years, that was the thing that I kept feeling every time I was posting kind of obituary articles. It's like, one of these days, we're all going to have that. So Matt's saying, doesn't Amazon have a digital book storefront that indie designers could use? I mean, yeah. I think the reason it's not used very heavily is because the percent that Amazon takes is huge. Yeah, I think for for their Kindle platform, I think it is, like their ebook platform, it's pretty easy to develop for. It's pretty easy to adapt your books or comics or whatever for that platform and make things available on the Kindle store. But the profit is tiny. Like, I considered doing that with my domestic abuse cartoon book. It would have been a bit of work, and the pricing and everything, it means it's like pennies per sale. So I don't think I'm going to sell a lot of cartoons digitally. And the cartoons, the entire archive is already available digitally online. So a digital version doesn't seem. But no, I think that's right. And if Amazon is paying attention, I mean, it's not a big enough market. It really isn't a big enough market. I was. Just out of curiosity, I searched the value of tabletop, and of course, first I searched RPG market, and what came up is the RPG, like PC console RPG, which is, I think, like it went from 80 to 100 billion or something. It was like really huge. Like that market was really huge, and then I looked at. Tabletop, and it was I think they went up to 80 million annually, and they're like, yes, this is our biggest year ever. So it's a fraction of what other entertainments are, and that's why so many, if you do get new players, a lot of players have come from console or PC role-playing games, so they have those expectations, and that's why we had fourth edition, because they were courting the WoW players, the World of Warcraft players. Man. Yes, and Lulu doesn't offer digital, as far as I know, which might be a thing for them to step into, because they support indie comics and indie publishers well. The quality of their stuff is it's print on demand, and the shipping is brutal, and it hasn't gotten any cheaper recently. But yeah, Lulu does only physical, as far as I know. Because they also have that deal where they get you an ISBN number and can get you listed on Amazon. So from there, I believe you can do a digital version on Amazon. So I've got a lot of noise. I apologize for people listening live. We've got a exhaust fan running that I didn't anticipate, so it's probably a little bit noisier in the background than usual. I'll try to take that out as much as possible for the regular podcast. So on the RSS feed and for the regular podcast version, it should be less noisy, a little more tranquil, hopefully not too digitally compressed. But yeah, so we'll see. I really hope that somebody steps up. And there are a couple of big players that could do that. Like, I could see Modifius or Free League, if they wanted to kind of protect their stake and not be bullied by Roll20 and one bookshelf. One bookshelf. Is that you can read that two different ways? Like, there's only one book on the shelf, or it's you only need one bookshelf because it's digital and everything fits on there. Yeah, but I think one bookshelf sounds silly, and they keep abbreviating it OBS in the press. Hey, unknown girl, how's it going? Good to see you, and thank you so much. Yeah, I did the unboxing of Vor, the unboxing and flip through of the Force books for Vor, the Maelstrom, and Unknown Girl was there. Sorry, I didn't. I don't know if I said hello on the stream. I had a lot of books to flip through. But that was really fun. I love that the details of that setting are fun, and each of the forces had their fun, like between like their downtime mechanics. Forbidden snacking, I think, was was the favorite on the live stream. Nice. Yeah, Unknown Girl is great to have around. Thank you so much for dropping by all the streams. So I guess the notifications are working. I often wonder that. But yes. Yeah, I hope so. I really want to paint the metal. Those miniatures look great. So yeah, I got to talk Chris, and I think there's some other fans too. I can talk somebody into playing some Vor with me. It looked like, though, I was reading online. We'll see. I think we'll try to play the starter set as is, but I don't know how balanced or satisfying it's going to be. I'll look at the points for each side and see how that goes, because now that I have the Force books, and we'll see how that goes. But for demos in store back in the 1990, 2000, the company did release these lists that were for demoing each of the forces. So they do have recommended lists that came from the companies back in the day, and those are posted online. So I'll maybe gather some minis for a couple of different forces, because they're available very cheap. They're just like a couple pounds each, per mini from Ralpartha. So Matt's threatening wrench is keeping people away. You're swinging that thing around. I mean, everyone is like, you're gonna take an eye out with that thing. Yeah, I miss Abyss. It might be just the scheduling, because we're doing it earlier than before to kind of fit in Chris's schedule. But yeah. So Matt and I got to get online and talk about the new supplement that we worked on together. I drew some pictures, and Matt did some great writing. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that on stream as well. That will be fun, and we can show off some artwork. That would be something nice, visual. We can have little windows of us and just kind of flip through some artwork and talk about inspiration for stuff. That would be great. Let's do that. And also so now, Matt, I know you said next weekend you're out of town, but now we're on the clock. We literally have, what is it? Yeah, we literally have 2 weeks if we want to play the setup that I put together for Blade Runner. So let's try to play Blade Runner and give Astral its send off before they kill it sometime in August. I'm just anticipating like the clock ticks to August 1st, and it's just they'll shut the servers down. So let's try to get that going. And if Friday night's the best for you, I think I can negotiate a Saturday morning. But yeah, you're gonna. I converted all these video files to WebM files, which I'd never used before, which are very light video files, very compressed light video files, so that run really well in Astro. So I've got like looping video backgrounds of like Blade Runner flyover, like LA flyovers and stuff. There's some great stuff, and it crawls through like cyberpunk streets. It's beautiful, and everyone's got nice tokens for the pre-gens. So we got to play that. We got 2 weeks, so we got to get that in sometime. But yeah, that really sucks, and there's no way, because it's web-based. Once Astral's offline, it's gone. You can't run it. Locally. That's brutal. So yeah, apologies again. I can't believe that's on. I guess I should be thankful, though. We've got a apartment building going up next door, so it could have been brutal, the amount of hammering and riveting and everything that's going on while we're trying to record this cast. But yeah, we got to play that case file. So the first case file for Blade Runner. So I've just want to add a few more things to the kind of the rules reference sheet, and then I'll send you a PDF of that, Matt, and you can share that around, and then I think we'll be good to go. Nice. Oh, nice. Yeah, please, everybody, turn on electric fans wherever you are, so that you're actually canceling out the sound. Abyss. Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice to see you. Yeah, Chris had to head off a little earlier than usual, but I'm glad Chris had the time. It was supposed to be for the family. It's supposed to be a family trip this weekend, but we're having a little bit of a spike. They're warning us of a spike here in bad weather and other infectious things. So the in-laws said, yeah, actually, you guys don't have to come. It's a 3-day weekend in Japan. I think Monday is C Day. Yeah, something like that. So, so Matt was worried that the blue wrench of doom was making yeah, right, Mr. Freeman. Nice. Oh, great! Everyone's spiking. Yeah, and my wife mentioned something about an even more virulent, I guess, contagious version in Europe. I think it's just going to get to the point where it's so contagious that we have 100%. Everyone will have had it, regardless of their state of their vaccines or whatever. Nice. It was a crowbar. That's right. A wrench works too. It's still. Who uses a wrench? Yeah, who does use a wrench? Did the Super Mario Brothers have wrenches in the original game? Who uses a wrench? Oh, man. So good to see you, Abyss. Oh, Delta Cro. Oh, nice. I'm so glad we can use more of those Greek letters. I can't wait till we get to Omegacron. The hybrid of Omicron and the final version. Nice. Yeah, it's just going to keep getting better at spreading. Yeah, and maybe it finally came to its senses and figured out, I got to stop killing people or else I'm not going to spread as well. So, yeah, possibly it wised up and just said, I'm going to be really contagious, but less deadly, and just make all those vaccine makers look stupid. Brutal. Yeah, how are things going in down under, Unknown Girl? I don't want to dox you, but how are things where you are as far as infections? Yeah, and it's the Japanese government can't do anything very heavy-handed, so they're just making suggestions. And since they've lightened things up and they've actually told people, we shouldn't be talking about this on the live stream, but told people that you can take masks off when you're outside. Some people, which is interesting, which is very rare for Japanese people, but some people are just like, okay, I'm done. So they're riding trains and they're, walking from their work to lunch, yeah, without masks, which is very rare in Japan. But it's so hot and humid here in the summer. It makes it twice as bad when you're breathing your own hot air, walking outside in the blazing sun and humidity. Yes. Some ice for you guys. The symptoms of Delta with the great contagiousness of Omni. Yes. We're simple people. We make a simple virus. Oh, good. Yeah, and it looks like they're in full swing. I guess San Diego Comic-Con is running, which is a real crowded event in California, and is Gen Con? I think they're doing Gen Con this year. They're not doing, I think because it's earlier in the year, they didn't do BlizzCon, but are there any fans of Blizzard anymore? But early in this year, a few shows were canceled, but I think we're getting back to normal, especially towards the end of the year. Maybe all the packs and everything are going to be running as normal. So yeah, I guess the U.S. is going to try to go back to business. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so hope everyone does well. And I'm really curious if you've already had it, if any of these new variants are going to make people sick again. There was somebody I saw online that was posting this was their third time that they were sick. So they've caught all of the variants. I don't know. I guess people are physiologically very different, so it's possible. And I love the why am I talking about this? I love the therapeutic drugs that they're using in the U.S. that suppress the virus so that you get a negative test, and then as soon as you stop taking the drug, the virus comes back and you're sick again and a little bit worse than previously. Good job, pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, so it just suppresses the virus just so you can go back to work, just to get sick again and infect everybody. Oh, two-timer. All right, Matt. Yeah, I was surprised. And people are misunderstanding now because of that therapeutic that's suppressing it. They're thinking they're getting it twice in a row, but it's actually the same infection that just the virus was kind of shut down because of the drug. So either you take that drug for the rest of your life, or you stop taking it and the virus comes back and slaps you in the face again. I can't remember the name of it, and I probably shouldn't say the name of it. But I can't believe we're still talking about this like 3 years later. It's getting silly. 2.5 years of this is enough. It's infected enough. It's ruined enough of my podcast. That's all I have to say. But yeah, it's good to see everyone in the chat. Yeah, the schedule, I think we're going to be doing, it's kind of a compromise because Chris has recording things that happen and finish, or maybe classes that finish around noon, and then has to be back for things starting just after 1. So I think our little window to have Chris is about 12:30. So this will be the normal time for a while, but it could always change, and there's always and things shifting around. Right, yeah. The treatments are not cures. Yeah, they're not. They're just letting your body escape being overrun. I mean, I guess, and that probably helps. I don't know though. When you're off of it though, it comes back. You have to fight it again. So yeah, they should probably just give you enough of it to knock it down, so your immune system has a little bit more of an advantage. But who knows? Yeah, and nobody has really figured out a great way to deal with it, at least that they're talking about. At least that the poors and the normies have access to. All right. Well, this is definitely getting some thumbs down. If people are going to be listening to this, I'm sure the dislikes are going to be flying. The rant. Oh yes, Matt. Yeah, yes. Castle Crashers. Yeah, I have a bunch of shirts from the Behemoth. So Dan Paladin and I met at San Diego Comic-Con. I actually I talked about this on the Abuse Cartoon stream, definitely. But one time, so I knew his work and I knew his Flash work before he worked for Behemoth, and his very recognizable style became part of he became the art director there. And he was with a girl and came to my table, and he had a shirt with one of his, just a little character on it. And I think I'd seen a photo of him online, and I recognized the art of his shirt. And I said, "Are you Dan Paladin?" And I think Singe was his online name where he did his Flash games. And I was did a gushing fanboy thing from behind the table that he was standing in front of. So the girl he was with, so he messaged me later and said the girl he was with was very impressed, and he was very grateful for my fanboying out. So I'm sure he got dinner and a movie or something that night. But I love his style, and I love how recognizable it is, and the kind of sense of humor. His partner, the kind of the, I don't know if he's CEO or who, the kind of president, who's running Behemoth, the producer. I met him at the Tokyo Game Show one year, and I got a bunch of swag, some posters, and I have some cool minifigs of the different knights, the different colored knights and stuff in the. And I still think they sell some of their goods every time they come to Tokyo Game Show. They leave some of their goods in the consignment shops in Akihabara, so you can always find Behemoth goods there. Yeah, I was doing big time wingmanning for a for a guy whose art I like. That's pretty funny. Yeah, Comic-Con. Yeah, Comic-Con is weird. It's so funny. There's been so many incidents at San Diego, and this shows the I forget what the word is, but the kind of status climbing of young women. So there's been people that have had tables next to or shared booths with that brought girls with them to San Diego. They can't, they drove or flew from all the way, and so they give them a ride or they pay for their flight, and then they get there, and of course the girls jump ship. The guy's expecting her to sit at the table when he wants to go, get something to eat or whatever. Sit at the table and kind of man the sails or whatever while he's gone. And as soon as they get to the show, she takes off and finds the most famous person that she can hang out with. She spends the whole time in that booth, and the guy that paid to get her to the show is stuck. And the best part of that is, especially if they drove, because a lot of people drove from the Northwest and San Francisco down to San Diego for that show, you got to drive back. The guy that you dumped, and because the show is 5 days, so the the guy that you blew off for 5 days chasing more famous famous guys at San Diego Comic-Con was you got to drive back with. So that's the brutal part of that. Yeah, ladies, what are you doing? Yeah, I thought that was very funny. So yeah, I had a more than a few of those stories that happened. So don't bring a date to Comic-Con. But I also love the long-suffering wives, and that happens so much because for a lot of comic artists and creators, it's a very social event. And of course, after the show, there's a lot of dinners and drinks, parties and stuff. But during the show, people want to socialize. So you see a lot of tables with like a sign for like a very famous comic book artist, and just his wife is sitting there with her chin on her in her hand, just enduring the people. Like, when is he going to be back? Is he here? Is he here? Yeah. What a show. And they're going to have that this year. So you can witness that firsthand. Although it's not like that anymore. It's just a Hollywood preview night, basically, for 4 days. All right. You got to do what you got to do. Hey, yeah, if if a more famous creator is available. Nice. Cuckold, the Ultra Nerd edition. Nice. That would be a good comic. Yeah, it would be a inside baseball comic about comic conventions. Oof. Yeah, nerd cuckolding, that's the worst. You get displaced for a more famous nerd or more talented nerd in a lot of cases. All right. Well, it was good to see everybody. I think we're going to end this horrible audio. I apologize. I'm hoping that this mic is gating that a little bit better. I think the mic at home would have been better to get rid of that. But at least it's not so brutally hot in here because of it. All right. Yeah. Look forward to so we're starting about a half hour earlier, Abyss, and Chris has got a kind of hard out to get back to work. So we're a little bit more limited, but yeah, visit rcharvey.com if you want to see what I was putting together for all these years. And it's not a very high-tech website because most of the users were over 60. Like, there was a lot of peers of RC Harvey, so there's not a lot of bells and whistles on the site, but it's a lot of really good writing. And especially the hindsight's articles are all historical, and RC Harvey did some really great texts on history of comic books and cartooning in the U.S. All right. Oh, Will Wheaton Gen Con story. Oh, nice. Okay, that's going to be a special cast. Can we do a special edition and get Matt on to talk about Will Wheaton? And I can tell my my Luke Skywalker story too. It's RC Harvey related. Nice. Oh yeah. Oh, I can put that. Yeah, sorry. Let me do that. That's a good. I'll just do the link right now. I thought all of these were supposed to be connected. My sessions of Chrome. So let me try to paste this by touching. Yay. There we go. So there's RC Harvey in the chat. I'll put it in the description for the video as well. But yeah. Rest in peace, RC Harvey. That was a blow. I mean, it was eventually coming, but he was still mentally so. I mean, his writing is just as sharp as it ever was, and it's just a shame, that our brains and bodies don't always, diminish at the same time. So that's pretty brutal. All right, so everybody take care, and we'll do this again next week. And we got to get Matt to Will Wheaton story. What was it? Gen Con Confessions. We got to do a new feature. Nice. Okay, so good night and good afternoon and good morning, everybody, depending on where in the world you are. And we'll be back again next week. So everyone take care, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.